How is that for you, Pete, in raising two black boys, and how you have to kind of go ahead and you want to make sure you tell them all the stuff, though, but obviously being a parent, you want to also kind of want to shelter them from the realities of the world, though. And I don't know at what age, because Jag is 8, and then you have obviously Jacob. He's 2 years old. He'll be 2 years old. Excuse me, in October. And so in what? Excuse me.
In November. Yeah.
In November. And so having that. At what age do you have to start telling them about the realities that they have to face as 2 young black boys?
I mean, everybody different. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the. The question you just asked is also kind of the answer on why it is important to have like a 2-parent household, because there's really no age limit in my eyes to tell my son to be careful with certain things. You know, and sometimes I find myself, I kind of go a little bit too crazy, and that's where my wife kind of pulls me back and like, hey, you know, I understand, but, you know, he's 8. Like, we still got to be a kid, which is, she's right. She's absolutely right. I don't want to take nothing away from his childhood, none of that stuff, but I tell him to be careful. Unfortunately, he's young, but he has a cell phone. I tell him to text me or moms when he's across the street at his friend's house. I tell him to watch his back. I try to tell him in certain ways that, because he's a very friendly dude. He's a good guy, good kid. He's, you know, seeing the world through the eyes of kids. If we did that, the world would be a better place. I swear to God, but that'd be another story. But
does he understand that he's a black boy? Does he understand race?
Yes, he knows he's black. He knows he's black. Okay. He knows this. You know what I mean? But he's still like, yo, why? Sometimes I gotta watch my mouth. Like, Dad, why you say that about white people? And then I gotta explain to him, this is what I went through. But I mean, you're not here yet. It's hard, man. There's no blueprint to raising kids on how to do it.
Right.
Just from my perspective and the things I went through. And it's like all parents don't want none of their kids to go through what they went through, but unfortunately the world doesn't work like that. So you just try to protect them and give them advice as best they can. And hopefully we can't control what they go through, but hopefully they'll learn and listen, and that way it won't be as bad as how we went through it, if that makes sense. So I try to give my sons, my 8-year-old, bits and pieces right now. I don't go too hard. My wife does pull me back a little bit, but I try to give as much as I can without exposing him to the world, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Obviously, I like that. Go ahead. I'm
very
sorry,
wise. Brother. No, I said it was a very wise answer.
I mean, you know what? That and I get that, but there does seem to be through his lens and what he sees now, what he goes through now. Obviously, that's in a perfect world, but we don't live obviously in a perfect world. Obviously, we got Trump as president.
Right.
And so what we go through, and so I guess what I'm trying to get to is that with having that go ahead and having that hope and having the promise of tomorrow and the hope of tomorrow, whatever though, at what point do you have to, when you start implementing the realities they actually have to face instead of what we want, instead of what is? Brother Senbi, speaking on that, and you having girls as well, how do you go ahead and implement that to your young black boys? And then what is the difference in how you go ahead and implement what you teach to your young black boys versus young black girls?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, with most things, there is not a difference.
Okay.
I treat them the same as far as responsibility and accountability. Mm-hmm. Now,
I like that.
You know, yeah, we prepare them for this world from birth. Okay, meaning and I was just, telling my sons this because of course they don't remember, but as soon as they could sit up, we began to raise them with discipline and structure. I mean, my children were 2 years old, 3 years old, meditating every day, being able to sit still because we were training them that way, and we had high expectations of them. Every time we would take our children out in public, it would never fail. People would come up to us and compliment us on how well-behaved and well-mannered our children are. And you would see other children that age around them just wilding out and acting crazy because we came from a different paradigm. And so understanding, the type of world they're getting into, they're going to have an internal sense of self-discipline and structure and accountability, and they're going to have to be raised like that from the very beginning. Because if children are old enough to learn the wrong things, then they're old enough to learn the right things. Okay? So if they're old enough to be lied to about, the Pilgrims coming to America and the Thanksgiving thing and the Indians and the Pilgrims celebrate, if they're old enough to learn that lie, then they're old enough to know the truth about it. You see? And so as long as we were always teaching them. Now it may have different degrees of intensity. Now my youngest boys are 14, so I'm talking to them more about women, and I'm equating their experiences with their mother and their sister with what they'll encounter in their future relationship. And then I did the same thing with my daughters. Got a 20-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old daughter. And I explained to them that what you're experiencing with your siblings is training. What you're experiencing with your parents is training. You see? And so both the males and the females got the same accountability expectations, same disciplines. Now, yes, I did toss my boys around a little more, when it came to discipline.
Being a father.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But, that's just the difference between masculine and feminine. But even I had years ago was the last time I even did that, because I made a commitment because I didn't like how I felt, because I had threw them around out of anger. They were acting like assholes. One of them had stole something from the store earlier, and this is when he was like probably 9 years old. He stole something from the store earlier, and I was with him. And I didn't get in that butt right then. But then they kept acting up the rest of the day, and the same one who got away with stealing something earlier, meaning he got away without getting an ass whipped, although I made him go back in the store and apologize, he spit in his brother's face. So I tossed him up, and then I tossed his older brother up too, because his older brother should have known better. But that was a long time ago. I didn't like the way I felt because I let my anger get to me. You see what I'm saying? And so I went down in the basement at that time and I meditated and I said, okay, I'm not going to do that no more. I don't like the way it feels. I feel like I violated. I feel like I'm spiritually ugly. I didn't hurt them, but I feel like I hurt my spirit and their spirit by reacting out of anger that way. So since then, it's all conversation with me. Yeah, I get stern sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But I make sure I don't get physical with them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so we're gonna make mistakes as parents. Right. We're gonna make mistakes. I used to get yoked up all the time. I won't even say all the time. I got yoked up enough to where I got my act together. And the last time I got yoked up, I think I was 17. My dad smacked the shit out of me because I got sent to the police station for something. He smacked the shit out of me in front of the police. The police officers just looked away like nothing was happening. I was looking at them like, damn, you gonna let them smack me like that? He just looked down and smirked like, I deserved it, and I did deserve it because I didn't realize how serious it was back then. Although I didn't do anything serious, but my dad said, don't you ever embarrass this family again. That was the last time he had any trouble out of me with the law.
You know what's funny you say that though, because Minister Farrakhan actually said that he said, you know what, I had to go ahead. He said my mother went ahead and she whooped me right in front of the police though. And the police came there with the police. It was like, yo, what? You know what I'm saying? No, he said, listen, I'd rather go ahead and whoop him now so that you won't have to go ahead and beat him with that club upon your hip and that gun upon your side and go shoot him with that gun upon your side. I'd rather go ahead and whip him myself, though, so that he knows not to go ahead and do that, though, because if he acts up in front of you, you're going to go ahead and use that. So that's important, man.
I remember that speech.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it was on the Breakfast Club. Yeah, it was on the Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. That's important, man. You know what I'm saying? Though? I mean, obviously you don't want to go to the point of abuse, though, but you want to let them know that. You know what I mean?
I remember when I was
that respect when they're young.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, you do. No, I was gonna say I remember when I was 15. I don't know if you remember that, Amir. When I had said something back to my mother, and she punched me right in the mouth. Like I'm talking a straight cold jab to the mouth. My eyes started. I was crying because that shit hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
No, that didn't hurt you physically. That hurt your soul because you the favorite.
Yeah.
You could do no wrong. You got hit. He was like, oh, me. I remember that.
She's like, who you think you're talking to? I'm like, my bad, Ma. My bad. You know?
Hold on, Chief.
I know that got the message home. That sent the message home.
Did. It definitely did.
My mom had a special way of my mom, she would use guilt on me. I remember again when I was 17, my next door neighbor was older than me. He was over 21. And so we asked him to go and get us some liquor, come to the liquor store with us and get us some 40s, you know. You see how long ago that was, I'm talking about 40s. But get us some 40s from the liquor store. And he did that. And I had to hurry up back because my mom was about to leave and she needed her car. And so instead of me walking around the back of the house like I usually do and stashing them on the side, I took a shortcut in front of the house. My mom was just standing right there waiting for me. She was like, what's in the bag? I was like, damn, I'm caught. I can't even lie. I was like, beer. And, you know, I walked in the house with the bags of beer. And she stood over the toilet and poured all of them out. She said, you know, alcoholism runs in our family. You know, your uncles, you know, deal with this stuff. But I can't, you know, you're getting older now. I can't watch you all the time. I just hope that you make good decisions and don't end up being an alcoholic. She poured the 40s out and left. I was like, damn, I was messed up for the rest of the day, rest of the weekend. I ain't seen that the last time I drank. Right. Message, it got home. You know what I'm saying? She didn't have to fuss. She put me on punishment. It sent the message right to my spirit, man. Yeah. And so there's just different methods of discipline as the children get a certain age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to appeal more to the wisdom side of them, because it's like the intimidation works when they're really young to set a foundation of respect and, you know, a little bit of fear in there because, you know, you daddy. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want them afraid to where they traumatized and it's throwing them off, their nervous system off balance when they're in your presence, because that means you emotionally abusing them. You know what I'm saying? But 9 times out of 10, it was the authority of my voice that got the message across. Whereas their mom would say the same thing and they like not taking her serious, but it's that booming, deep voice of the father that gets things moving. You know?
Yeah, man, no doubt, man. Definitely having both that balance of the father and the mother, is important. Though I think we say mother and father. I try to stray away from that though, because the father should be mentioned first, though, as he is should be the head of the household. So yeah, that is a very important thing. Though, Chuck, you want to add anything to that though before you go ahead and give out the introductions, brother?
I mean, you know, it's definitely beneficial to have both parents in the household raising children, so they can definitely get that masculine and that feminine perspective on life, as Brother Senbi mentioned a little bit earlier. So definitely good points. But yeah, let me go ahead and do the introduction.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. About that, you know, but me and my children's mom are divorced, and we don't live in the same household, although we don't live no more than 2 miles apart. And we split the time 3.5 days per week. Every single week since 2009, we've been doing it. And, you know, our friends who know us commend us on how well a job we have done and are doing co-parenting our children. You know, because we get along. You know, it ain't no baby mama drama. It ain't no beefing. We decided that it would be a miserable long life if we at war with each other. You know what I'm saying? But we would rather our children see their parents getting along in separate households than to see us beefing in the same household like we were doing. And so we realized we were damaging the children by them witnessing that. And we couldn't get it together, so we was like, look, if we're going to get it together, let's do it separate so the children don't have to continue to be traumatized by seeing mommy and daddy in so much conflict. Because we didn't want to teach them that.
It's called being grown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
just because you don't live in the same household, you know what I mean, doesn't mean you still don't co-parent. And that's a beautiful example that you just gave. And like Amir said, it's definitely called being grown. And that's like a major issue. Folks tend to put their own agendas in front of the kids, and that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely dope. And I'm glad you spoke on that and said that, how you and your ex take care of your kids. I commend you on that, because that's definitely missing, especially in our community. You know what I mean? And that's something I got to change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Actually, thank you, because you're setting an example, though. So thank you, man.
The last two, the last two episodes of season 4 of Blackish, when Bo and Dre were going through their issues, and Dre moved out and had his own apartment, and they were doing the same thing. Like, the kids would spend half the time with the father and half the time with the mother. So that was a pretty good example of how
Blackish got real like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The last two episodes are pretty. They were real though. A little somber.
Yeah. Yeah. Blackish.
Check that out.
Yeah, Brother Senbi, I don't know if have you watched Blackish, Brother Senbi?
Yeah, I watch it. I like the episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's really, Blackish is one of them shows that is well rounded, and it talks. It covers a lot of serious issues. But it puts a comedic side to it, so it's not overbearing, but you get the message behind what they're trying to portray. So I love Blackish. I can't wait to come up with season 5.
Yeah, but I like that show myself.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and do the introduction. As always, this is the Common Sense Experience, featured only on the Black Podcasters Network. This is episode number 70. Be sure to check the show out in iTunes, iHeartRadio. You can hit us on Facebook at Black Podcasters Network. Today's episode, we got a special guest, Brother Senbi Akau. He's going to be talking about transcending the negative impact of racism. But before we get into the interview, we'll do as we always do. Brother Amir, go ahead and take it over, brother.
Yeah, I know what it is, man. You know how we do, man, right here on the Black Podcasters Network. The Common Sense Experience is the show. And were we gonna go ahead and we're gonna go right into it, or we're gonna go ahead and do the you know what I'm saying, grinding your gears and splitting you off today?
I think we should just get right into it, man. Let's just get busy.
We're gonna get right into it. Yeah. All right, man. Like you said, man, brother Senbi's on the show, and I appreciate you, brother, for being on the show, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, man. And
I'm
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, before we get into it, I'm just gonna read a short bio, just so the audience. I know Brother Senbi kind of gave a background, but there's a lot more to Brother Senbi than what he expounded on. So I'll read it really quick. And Brother Senbi, I'm gonna probably butcher some of the names in here, so just forgive me, brother.
No problem.
Dedicated father of 5 successful children, Senbi Akau has been a community activist and metaphysician for 30 years. He presently serves as dynamic life coach and relationship advisor. He has been under the formal guidance and training of world-renowned martial artist and spiritual teacher Shaha Mfundishi Maasi for over 16 years, and currently serves as the chairman of the School of Heaven and Earth, which is founded by his teacher Maasi. Senbi was initiated into the Egbe Akonkorin Society of Brave Men in Baltimore, Tubman City, Maryland, where he went through various manhood rites and challenges to further solidify his place as a responsible and honorable man among men in the community. Senbi has also founded and co-founded various community organizations and projects such as the Solidify Nation, Reality Speaks, and the Zero Murder Rate movement. Coach Senbi, and priesthood and staff member of Juju Mama Love Academy, is the founder of the Raise the Level Mandate, which is a rebirthed and newly designed, refocused revision of the Zero Murder Rate movement. So that's a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff there.
I've been a little busy.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with popping your collar a little bit. I've been a little
productive,
bit,
though.
This guy.
Busy and productive.
Yeah, very productive though, man.
Yeah, because you can be busy and so you can be busy and be going nowhere. So as long as if you're busy and productive, that's a whole nother level.
Right. You know, and I've been a community activist for a long time. But at a certain point, I did pull back to put more of a focus on my children, and what you're seeing now with me coming out with the razor level mandate is really me coming back to the forefront in the community again. But I saw a need because at one point I was participating in a program going to the juvenile juvenile detention center on the weekends and teaching some young teenage boys and who and listening to their stories, you know, basically just wasn't raised right and you know, got caught up in what's going on in the environment and they end up locked up in the youth prison. But one day I had an epiphany was that I'm leaving my children every Saturday and going over here trying to correct some other parent's mistake that they did not handle with their children. I need to be making sure that I am spending as much time with my children as possible so that they're not here and someone has to come here and teach them. And so I had stepped back for a few years and honed in and focused on raising my children. And I do not regret that decision. I'm glad I made that decision. So now I'm more, now that my children are a little older, you know, but I kept doing things in the community, but not as much, you know, unless I was bringing my children with me or it was something pertaining to them, you know. So now my children are older, you know, I'm ready to get out here again and get busy again.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. And we appreciate you being right there, then, man, on the front line. Going ahead, though, man, and doing what you got to do, though, to go ahead and lift up our people, though. And speaking of that, I gotta ask, man. I gotta ask this question first, man. All right. Why does it seem that us as Black people, and then for your course and what you teach, I sense that you are for your people first, though, and it seems like we always have to apologize, or not apologize, but sort of give a reason for why we're not just for our people, but we're for everybody. So, in your course, though, is it, and I'm pretty sure your answer at least initially, but I don't want to go ahead and just say it for you. But why do we all? Is it a program for melanated people or non-melanated people, though? And why does it seem like we always have to go ahead and explain to people that we're not just for Black people, we're for everybody, we're for all races? So just go ahead and expound on that, brother.
Yeah, I mean that's a result of a programming.
Okay.
We've been made to feel guilty, like we're being racist in reverse if we deal with the issue of racism. And that's just a defensive mechanism that white people use to protect themselves from being responsible for what they are responsible for. Now, I'm not sugarcoating anything in my course, However, the course is not centered around us pointing fingers at white people. The course is focused on us taking responsibility for creating our reality. Therefore, it's not about being concerned with what white people think. However, white people can take the course because, they may not realize it, but they're affected by the system of racism too because they're deluded by it. They think, in their position of privilege that they have some, not all of them, but some of them, plenty of them, enough of them, too many of them feel that they are superior or better than us. And it's only because they've taken on the hype and the delusions that have been fed to them since birth and this white privilege. You see what I'm saying? But the issues that I address in the course will approach healing from trauma that is a result of living in a system of racism like this. And, people of all races can experience this trauma because this society is so based on appearance, on skin color, that everyone gets affected in one way or another. But my primary focus is, of course, richly melanated people like myself, because that's just who I'm a member of. You see what I'm saying? And we have to understand that we're in a world with 7 billion people, and it's in everybody's vested interest, if you want to live a harmonious existence, for people to be as healthy as possible. Because the alternative is for them to be mentally ill. And like we say, hurt people, and so there's a lot of hurting going on in this world. And so my course is focusing on healing. But it starts in the mind, it starts in the way we think.
It only seems like pro is a negative word when black is added on after that.
You said, what?
It only seems like pro is a negative word when black is added on after that. To be a pro on anything else means you're excelling, except for when you're pro-black.
Well, I'm very pro-black because I'm pro-me.
Right. But it just you go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not pro-black, then I think you have an issue. Now, some people, because of the connotation that it carries, they don't like to speak that. You're not going to see me running around the street, my black fist in the air, black power. Now, I'm not going to say I didn't used to do. I used to do that. But I'm not interested, and this is me. I'm not judging the one who does it. I'm not against anyone who does it. But I'm not interested in putting on them displays, them public displays of, demonstrating like that. I want to demonstrate black power in real life in all the 9 areas of people activity. Like Dr. Neely Fuller, in his book, United Compensatory Code System Concept, breaks down that quote-unquote white supremacy. I don't like to use the word white supremacy. So the system of white racism is organized around the 9 areas of people activity, which are now I sometimes I forget some. There are labor, law, politics, war, religion, economics, education, entertainment, and sex. Those 9 areas of people activity, they're dominated by the thought and idea of white supremacy. Now, I don't like to say the phrase white supremacy because I don't like to combine the 2 words white and supreme in the same sentence, because that's a lie. There's nothing supreme about white people and nothing supreme about the system. And that's one of the ways we have to begin to take our power back psychologically. And so one of the things that I'm addressing in the course is something called the psych game, us not being psyched out. We all played sports before. We all played basketball. And when, somebody talking shit to you, you trying to take the ball to the hole, they talking shit, and if you give in to the ideas that they're communicating to you, they're going to throw you off your game. But their intention is to put in your mind what they envision, what they want you to do. But you can't focus on that. You got to focus on your will and what your intention is, your strategy. And so what happens then is we get psyched out in this society because through the media, they're showing us constant images of us getting our butts kicked by the police, for example. Black people always getting murdered and brutalized by the police, always victimized. All these slave movies when we getting our asses kicked. We're always taking L's on the screen. That's why I love Django Unchained so much. And that's why I love the Black Panther movie. Django Unchained, you finally see a slave movie where a black man whooping some white people's asses. But any other movie, we getting lynched, hanged, dismembered. I don't like to take those images in anymore because it affects the psyche. Okay, so then subconsciously we began to even expect victimhood by the hands of white people and those who are white and in authority. And we start to get stripped from our sense of power and our ability to create a situation where we could become the victors. We're used to, I'm just going to say it, we as a people, we're used to taking losses. It became a habit. And so I'm here to help change that habit.
Yeah, I was watching a interview with Brother Rich was interviewing Dr. Layla Africa, and Brother Rich asked him about and it must have been a recent interview because he was talking about the police killings and usually the videos that we see on Facebook. And Brother Rich was asking Dr. Africa, like, what happens when Black people are continuously taking in watching these videos? And he started talking about trauma, right? It creates trauma within the psyche.
Yes.
And then it from that, of course, it goes back to, you said earlier, impacts the nervous system. So now when we're out and about, we're already in a heightened state of fear. So whenever we see a cop car or see police, we go into an immediate state of fear.
Yes.
And the stress is
desensitized.
Exactly.
It also desensitizes, like, I don't know, I had put in the group chat the latest Corey Holcomb podcast. They was talking heavily about, because the rapper XXXTentacion, the young rapper, just got killed, and everybody was recording it. Like, you see a dead, lifeless body, like, nobody called the cops, everybody recording it. And, like, you notice how all these videos with killings, the cop killings, any type of killing pretty much on video is mostly people of color. You know what I mean? You really don't see too much of the white folks, man. And it's like that, and then the more you see it, the more you get desensitized by it, and it's like, oh, here goes another one, here goes another one. But you happen to see, like, the white folks, oh my God, I can't believe it. What happened? Like, it's sensitive to that shit. And it goes to the mainstream media, the Facebook, the social network era we live in. It's all part of the same old thing, man. The same thing we talk about on this podcast, and is the treatment of us, the mistreatment more than anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And you perfectly right about that trauma, and part of the reaction of being traumatized is to become numb, because and then it's a survival mechanism, because if it happens so often, you become desensitized to it to survive. You see, but these traumas, they trigger the fight, flight, freeze, or feed reaction, instinctual reaction. And so by us being numb to it, it's sort of like a type of flight reaction. We're not really dealing with it. We're pretending, and it's not as serious as it is, and we cut ourselves off from one another's pain. You see, and so I'm dealing with this actual post-traumatic stress disorder, and I also call it present traumatic stress disorder, that we dealing with from the system of racism. Because if we don't heal from the trauma and create systematic ways for us to collectively heal, this stuff is passed on generationally. Just as we had trauma that was passed on to us genetically and generationally. There's been, scientific evidence and proof that things get passed on genetically and generationally. And they call it historical trauma. And so we have to resolve these things as a collective people. So it has to be methods and ways that we can go in individually and as a collective and deal with this trauma. And there's so many things. There's layers and layers of so many things. For example, the movements that we've had, the civil rights movements, the Black Power movement, Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali got murdered. Marcus Garvey, he got betrayed and he got kicked out the country, died broken, miserable, and depressed in England somewhere, in the UK somewhere, I believe. Malcolm X murdered. Martin Luther King, the man of peace, murdered. And our organizations dismantled, destroyed by the FBI and COINTELPRO. So we have to understand that every time these things happen, a certain level of hope dies within the people. And it is traumatic to see our hope stripped violently away from us like this, time and time and time again. And the things I've stated are only the well-known, a few of the well-known instances. But now when you look at Black organizations in the community and you see the difficulty we have in maintaining strong effectiveness and staying together effectively for long periods of time, now we could keep saying COINTELPRO, but a lot of times it's our dysfunction that gets in the way. But it's a dysfunction that has been accumulated in the result of constantly being under attack and not learning how to neutralize the attack. Okay? So we have to heal from things like that. you know. But a lot of times people don't get into these type of movements because of the loss of hope. They don't realize because this trauma's been passed on to you, and you don't believe that we as black people can unify again. So that's one of the other things I'm going to address. See, this is just course one. I'm going to have several courses delving deeper and deeper, and all of the courses are going to be leading to action within the community that we're going to have to do as individuals and as families.
Yeah,
that's powerful. Yeah,
that is deep. It's definitely we definitely have to make sure that we should listen. I tell people, white people all the time. Listen, man, when they say get over slavery, I tell them get over 9/11.
Exactly.
And if they look at me, they be like, "What the fuck are you?" Yeah, get over 9/11. But
exactly.
people died in 9/11, and we too. Yeah, all right. So yeah, shut the fuck up. Don't talk
exactly.
If you can't get past 9/11, then don't tell me to get over slavery. Don't tell me to get over Jim Crow. Don't tell me to get over this. Don't tell me to get over Rodney King. Don't tell me to get over Mike Brown. Don't tell me shit. You can't get over one incident that happened to your people, and that wasn't the first time that this country had planes go ahead and terrorize people. Cause that happened, on Black Wall Street.
Yep.
Which isn't talked about. So I'm not trying to hear shit.
It happened in 1985 in Philly with the MOVE incident.
Right. Yeah, and they don't talk about that as well. You're right, brother. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, I have 1985.
Yeah, I believe it was 1985. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was born
crazy.
in Philly, but I was raised in South Jersey, so I remember that clearly.
Yeah. Okay. Now, can you before I get into the second question, can you kind of just go ahead and briefly just talk about that, because it's not talked about enough as far as what happened in Philly.
The MOVE situation?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I don't know everything about it, but I will say this, because I was if it was 1985, then I was 12 years old, and I do.
Okay.
And see, I remember. See, it was the story that the media was telling, that the average person was believing and talking about, and then there was the shit behind the scenes. Now, from what I heard, like what my parents were saying, and what I heard people that were being interviewed and other people talking about, yeah, them people, they dirty. They accumulate in rats, and they don't wash, and they don't clean themselves, and they just creating a filthy environment, and so they need to go. So it was a lot of sentiment from the black people that what the government was doing was correct, and it was encouraging it. But as I got older, when I was able to look into it with a sense of more consciousness, I learned that, okay, they was freedom fighters. And I think the brother John Africa, I think, was the founder, I'm not sure. But yeah, they was about, living together and living naturally and trying to buck the system. Now, I don't know how well that was going to end up in the middle of Philly. And I don't know the complete, mission that they were on, but I do know that they were speaking up about injustices, and they had some type of interaction, with the government that was trying to move them, and they were fighting to stand their ground and stay where they needed to stay, and to speak out and fight for their rights. I haven't extensively studied that situation, but I do know it was the typical thing where people who are not allowing the authorities to come down on them unjustly, and they're standing up and not allowing themselves to be bullied. Okay, that's as much that I'm gonna say on it, because I don't want to get no misinformation. But it's I've looked at documentaries on YouTube and everything. It's easy to put up to pull up on YouTube if you want to get more information, like more details.
Yeah,
a lot of the details I just don't remember though.
Yeah, white people don't destroy something that's not a threat.
And the mayor at that time, Mayor Rizzo, it was Mayor Good. Mayor Good, Wilson Good, was a black mayor at the time.
Oh, that don't mean shit. Obama was black still. Right.
But the MOVE people were having problems all the way back when this racist dude, Mayor Rizzo, was in office. And that dude was like a real, outright racist dude. But Wilson Good, he was just being controlled by the establishment. But, I do believe he could have stood up and prevented that from happening if he had any gonads.
I believe
Obama could have did more.
There's a lot of our leaders that don't have gonads. Shout out to Jesse Jackson, Obama.
But the key thing of this to understand is they got the public sentiment against the MOVE members, and they painted a picture that these people were crazy and misfits, antisocial. What's the word? What's the word for antisocial? Not pathological. I can't remember the word, but they were basically, undesirables. Yeah. And they were putting out the message that all of their neighbors wanted them gone. And some of them probably did. Yeah. But it was still unjust what happened.
And that's some of the
undesirables though all the time. You see them all the time on TV. Go ahead, check my bit.
No, and that's some of the, like, as far as the verbiage goes, is what they use to bring down the Black Panther Party. When J. Edgar Hoover wrote up the COINTELPRO document, he started using certain words like terrorist and organization, greatest threat to American, like and that shit is intentional to put to get the buy-in from America, saying, hey, the Black Panther Party is a dangerous group.
Exactly. And to this day, they still carrying that narrative that the Black Panthers were killing police officers, going around killing police.
Yeah.
So the police were killing the Black Panthers, and the Black Panthers were defending themselves and trying to protect the community, and also trying to feed the community and educate the community. And I remember not too long ago, they put another award up for Assata Shakur, who we know is in Cuba, but where I live in Maryland, in Dundalk, Maryland, it's like down the street is like a hit town called like Sparrows Point, and I go on deliveries down there. They leveled the place now and they rebuilding it, but it used to be something called Bethlehem Steel down there, and they had a police station. It was like one of those rinky-dink country police stations in a rinky-dink town that don't nothing happen. I went in there one day to register to go in onto the plant, and I saw FBI Most Wanted, and they had a picture, Joanne Chesimard, a.k.a. Assata Shakur, $1 million, last seen in Cuba. I'm like, God damn, they got this picture in this rinky-dink ass town in Maryland, and that it's like that resurgence of the hunt for her started when Obama got back in office. He like renewed that shit, And so I thought that, I was like, damn, they ain't gonna leave that woman alone. They ain't never gonna leave her alone until she died. She had the nerve to escape from prison. She had the nerve to fight back and shoot the police that was shooting at her. And then the Black Liberation Army broke her out of prison, and she had the nerve to escape to Cuba and to still be alive. They will never forget that.
Pete, is there anything you want to add on before we go on to the next topic?
Nah, I think everything pretty much been said, bro.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of stuff that goes on. I gotta ask this, brother. All right.
Yes, sir.
So, mandate versus a movement. All right. So, can you just kind of go ahead and explain that, though? After you go ahead, Pete, you go ahead, Chuck, and I'll answer after that, though. Or I'll go ahead and, kind of give my thoughts on based off of what you to go ahead and discuss, though, brother. Though. So, what do you feel about the mandate versus the movement? What is that as far as you going ahead and within your course?
It actually started from what I used to call what I launched off with some other brothers and sisters that I was working with called the Zero Murder Rate Movement back in about 2006, 2007. Mm-hmm. We did some things. We did some wonderful things together, but again, certain organizational things and dysfunctional things happen, whereas we end up splitting apart. But since then, that vision has evolved to the point where the goal was, okay, we got to stop these murders in Baltimore. Let's have a goal of zero murder rate. Let's just go hard with that. But then something told me not to include the word murder in this mission, because of the power of the spoken word. And I don't want to, when I communicate that, I don't want to have people's minds on murder. I want people to think about life. And so that's when, the name replaced it, Raise the Level Movement. But then I was looking around, and it's movement this and movement that. Everything's a movement now. And so I was like, I just don't want to come out with something called a movement. Mm-hmm. But then I realized that this is more like a mandate, you know. Now, based on my belief system, I am, you know, I receive inspiration and guidance from my ancestors. And so I believe they guide my pen and they guide my thoughts when it comes to building and organizing this thing and with the ideas that I have. So I don't hold them as my ideas. But these are mandates that I'm not giving to the people. But these are mandates that I believe our ancestors are given to us. And I'm just being a humble vessel for it right now. And so I see that, you know, making it a mandate is more instructional, more of a command, that this is what we need to do.
Okay. So that basically what you're saying is that instead of we need to go ahead and set, are you saying basically like we kind of need to set laws?
Well, part
more
of the mandate,
I guess, instead of.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. No, part of the for example, yes, laws, but more of codes. Okay. Enforce certain codes. For example, part of the mandate is I have 11 values and 11 social directives. One of the 11 values is the value of manhood. And we make a statement, I declare that I demonstrate the value of manhood. Now, one of the goals is to make sure that every male within Baltimore, now I'm saying within Baltimore because that's where I live, but this is anywhere there are black folks. But every male within this city should enter into a brotherhood of men, brotherhood circles where they undergo manhood training. Every youth should be in youth circles, and when they get a certain age, they'll be initiated into, if they're a boy, the manhood circles, if they're a girl, the sisterhood circles. So that every man, woman, and child are in circles where there is training, and we unify these circles through a code. For example, the manhood, it'll be a manhood code of honor. That you can have, your circle will be autonomous. I'm not saying these are going to be all razor-level circles. There are manhood circles that exist already. There are brotherhoods that exist already. So we build more and we connect the ones who already exist. But then we collectively meet and we decide on a code of honor that we will enforce in our prospective circles. And that is the initial way how we can begin to unify. So this is the manhood mandate. Boom. As a man, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, and you should not do that, etc. And that will demonstrate that you are a man. Okay? Now, I have a list of suggestions, but it can't come out of my mind. It has to be a collective, agreed upon thing. So,
okay, but
yes.
In fairness, what are, all right, so obviously we have, so we want to make sure that we have coming as a unified front. But what are some of your own personal ideals that you want to go ahead and implement?
As far as manhood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All conflicts at this point, all conflicts between black men should be resolved non-violently. All conflicts between black men should be resolved non-violently. Now, I know sometimes, we got to fight it out. If it's with fists, then okay. But it could be in a controlled environment. But absolutely no shooting, no black people, first and foremost, because you're killing your potential army. That's our family.
Okay.
If we're killing our army, we're doing the work for those who are against us. So we as men have to be about preserving and protecting life, not terrorizing our own communities. And no man shall abandon his children.
I agree with that. I agree with both. I strongly agree with that. Yep.
Now I know it's difficult because a lot of brothers say that sometimes the child's mother get in the way and play interference. I understand that. But that's why it's a holistic thing. The sisters got to be in sisterhood circles too, and they will have what I call a code of devotion, a sisterhood code of devotion, where certain behaviors and standards that they don't tolerate, which is interfering with the fathers raising their children. And so this is going to be enforced through peer pressure, okay? Because what it's called is the razor level value system now. So now we're establishing a new value system. That's why I call them 11 values. The value of family, the value of community, the value of manhood, the value of womanhood, the value of childhood, the value of quality relationships, the value of peace, the value of protection, the value of health, the value of knowledge, and the value of power, the power of economics. And if we demonstrate these 11 values in our households and as individuals, because each household is a family unit, and family units combine to make communities, then we can resolve the issue of the 9 areas of people activity that are under the control and mandate of the so-called white supremacy mandate. And that's how we take our power back. And that's a big part of how we're going to transcend the negative impact of racism. Because it's a holistic system that is approaching us from every angle all around us. But the most important thing is it has our minds preoccupied with the sense of powerlessness. And so we got to recognize our power again. And y'all mentioned Dr. Africa, you know, and he mentioned that the first technology is the family. I'm not going to go too far into that. I want everybody to get this course so we can delve into it.
No doubt, man. I appreciate that though. And laying down, I think laying down laws is very powerful though, because it gives structure. And I know you probably want to expound on that a little bit more, but I'm gonna go ahead and Pete, kind of, what are your thoughts on what the brother said? The brother Senbi said.
I mean, that's real. I mean, you definitely need some type of law and order in order to get things moving. And the type of law and order he talking about is the type for us, because the shit that's going on around now, like, that's laid quote unquote law, is not for us to begin with. So you definitely need something that's in place for you and yours, and then you can grow from there. So I mean, I dig it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No doubt, Chuck.
Yeah, you know, having a value system is extremely important, man, because you know, ultimately your values influence your thoughts, then your thoughts influence your actions. That's so right. You can pretty much get a feel for a person's values by observing their actions, right? So
exactly
what brother Senbi sound like is laying out in this course from those 11 values is that, hey, these are the values that's going to be the foundation of our community. So I really appreciate that what you're doing there with those values, brother Senbi.
Thank you.
I mean, if in any type of war, you got to have strategies, right?
That's right.
And you got to have certain things in order. I mean, if you have an army and they're not of one accord, then that army is probably going to be unsuccessful.
Yeah,
that's right.
Anything.
It will.
Whether
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you gotta have certain, like you said, mandates and certain laws and certain things in line so that they can go ahead and be successful. I think a lot of times, what we have as black people, if a lot of our leaders like to do a lot of what I call peacocking, be at the forefront instead of being together. This is why they go ahead and dismiss people like Dr. Millie Fuller, like Layla Africa, like Claude Anderson, and all these people, because they have that mindset. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, rest in peace. And so a lot of times they go ahead and try to get rid of them so they can go ahead and be able to go ahead and strut and be able still to go to these white dinners. You know what I'm saying? They rather sit at the kiddie table of a white party than sit at the head of the table or sit at the table, the head table of black unity.
That's right.
And so that's what we see. And so I'm glad that you are going ahead and making sure that implementing structure and structure. That's why I say that, keep saying that word, because it's important that we have that. And I think we've lost that. We've lost a sense of community. We lost a sense of it takes a village to raise a child. You have a lot of parents out here who, a lot of mothers out here, and some fathers who feel like nobody can talk to their child about nothing. And that's something that we definitely lost on. I feel like that's personally something that we should add on. Though, is there anything you want to add on to, brother?
Structure is very, very important. Amos Wilson calls the family a power system, and we have to begin to see how the members of our families, each member represents a certain level of talent, energy, resourcefulness, intelligence, etc., and each are a component to help us establish a legacy in the world. And if we combine family units into communities, that's strengthening our power system. But it can't be done without a structure. But the structure is what culture is supposed to be. The way of life that we live. Right. The things we do day to day, the way we think, the reason we think the way we think, the reason we talk the way we talk is because we have a purpose, a unified purpose in mind. And therefore we organize ourselves collectively to achieve that purpose. That's the structure. That becomes the culture. So then our entertainment and our education and everything we do gears us and moves us in the direction of achieving that purpose. So culture is a vehicle to get us from one point to another.
You said a word that kind of glossed over, but is very important within the structure, and you said unify.
Yes.
And before, I think before you even get to the structure, you gotta, well, not even before you get to the structure, but before you lay down the plans to make moves like that, you gotta be unified. I mean, not saying that you can't have disagreements, you can't have different opinions, but understand that it's not just about your own agenda. It's about unification within us. It's about everybody. You want everybody to be good. Therefore, once everybody is good, you yourself is good. You can sleep with both eyes closed. You ain't got to look over your shoulder. You got to unify, man, and I think that's very important.
Yes. I mentioned the 11 social directives, and one of the 11 social directives is unity and cooperation, the reality of existence. Unity, and it's a mandate. It's a part of the mandate. A lot of times, we begin working together as organizations, and we let pettiness get in the way, and we let pettiness divide us, and we're together for something greater than ourselves, but we allow something very small compared to what we're together for to divide us. And so we can't keep blaming COINTELPRO or agent provocateurs or government agents coming into our organizations and undermining and causing mischief. No, we have to take it upon ourselves to develop our characters to the point where our characters are strong enough to sustain unity. Because in order to sustain unity, you have to have strong character. Because you have to discipline your words, you have to discipline your mind, you have to transcend your ego if, the collective decides to do something that you don't really want to do. But if it's for the greater good of the whole, don't now separate from the whole. I mean, now I'm not saying that the whole is doing something that is totally ridiculous and harmful to others. I'm not saying that. But if you know that the collective, we have a bunch of ideas and the collective decide on this idea, but they may not want to do your idea yet, don't throw shade. Go with the collective. Maybe your time for your idea will come. But if it's for the greater good, humble yourself. Transcend that ego. That's character. So it ain't no unity without strong character.
The problem is we have a lot of characters.
We do. We do. There's never a dull moment with us. That's for sure.
That's a major issue. All right. Before I get into this last before I get into this continuation, you know what I'm saying, though, go ahead and wrapping it up. I gotta ask this question, brother. Why do you? What made you come to the joint of go ahead and separating the idea of systematic racism versus racism, and what is the difference to you? I'll ask you that, Chuck. You go ahead and answer after that, and Pete, and I'll go ahead and give my thoughts. So what is it, brother? What is systematic racism versus just racism?
Okay, well, because we don't want to confuse people calling people racial slurs and stereotypes with racism. We don't want to confuse, like, you know, when a black person speaks about the system of white racism, people calling us racist. When we're allowed to talk about the differences between cultures, the differences between the cultures of people of a different hue, and not be racist, and not be labeled racist, because there's differences. We can acknowledge the differences. That don't have to be a negative thing. That's not racism. Racism is a system that's organized to leverage power against the darker peoples of the planet on behalf of the white race. Simple as that. And we are not, as black people, are not organized systematically to leverage power away from other people. Now, I'm not going to say what a lot of people say, black people can't be racist because we don't have power. I don't like to say that because it's a disempowering statement to even utter out our mouths that we don't have power. We do have power. We just don't use our power to our benefit effectively.
I don't think many black people know that they have power.
What'd you say?
I don't think many black people know that they have power inside of them.
Yes, we do have power. You see, we have not organized ourselves.
Right. I agree with that.
Right. So I want people to understand that this is a system that is holistically, meaning all aspects, all the 9 areas of people activity is organized around all of them that are working together through their institutions and organizations to leverage this power. So therefore, transcending the negative effects is not only dealing with your post-traumatic stress disorder and your own personal issues from when you were discriminated against personally, or when you were, when you had racial remarks hurled at you. Yeah, that may be traumatic. You have to transcend that. But it's also what we have to do collectively as a people to get our power back and put ourselves in a position of power so that we can neutralize these effects of the system on us, if you understand what I'm getting at.
Absolutely.
Sir.
I do get the idea that obviously being black, being racist, I think is a idiotic idea to even go ahead and entertain. Especially being that we are the supreme race, though. So if we're proud of being ourselves, I mean, we should be. We're first. We can't help it that God chose us first. I'm sorry, white people. I don't mean to be petty. Well, I do mean to be a little petty. But beyond that, though, I do agree with you that there is a difference between now. Just to ask that before Chuck and you go ahead and answer. I don't want to go ahead and take up your time, Chuck. But brother, who do you think is the bigger slave as far as mentality? The black people who have been enslaved, or the white people who don't think they're slaves but are?
I would have to put both under that category.
Equal, okay.
Anyone who does not recognize their power and feels like a powerless victim and don't realize that they have the power to change their reality, to me, is a slave.
Right.
Now,
okay.
many of us are under self-deception, and that self-deception goes layers deep. So it depends on how deep we're trying to go. What did you say?
The illusion of inclusion.
Yeah, I mean, white people, this whole label of white is an invention. and it could be dated back on a particular date. You know, because all white people weren't treated equally. They used to discriminate against each other based on where they came from in Europe. Some of them were considered lower.
Yeah.
But then they saw, you know, to have more numbers and more leverage against darker peoples, black people, they wanted to give the lower ones power by including them in the title of being a white person. So then they started putting out the idea that, well, look, you might be the lowest of white people, but at least you ain't no nigger. And gave them responsibility as slave catchers and overseers on the plantations.
Right. That's how they got the name crackers.
Speak on that.
Well, you know, they were allowed to go ahead and kind of be how we have now. We have the corrections officers and police officers. That's what they were the lower white people.
Yep.
And the reason why they got crackers, you know what I'm saying, though, the reason why they were called rednecks and stuff like that, because they had to spend all their time out in the hot-ass sun, chasing us.
And cracking that whip.
Right. While the other white people were in the house.
And weren't most of the recruits for the KKK poor white people?
Yeah, I believe so.
Right.
Yeah. So the government said, you know what, let's go ahead and gather up all these poor white people and let's go ahead and create this organization called the Ku Klux Klan.
Right. Right. Ku Klux Klan, man. Cracker. What a case. Yo, Chuck, man, if I get too petty, and I appreciate your answers right there, brother, though, man. Let's just, there's the breakdown between systematic racism and racism is a very important thing to go ahead and differentiate. So, Chuck, man, what are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, you know, we I'm sure we probably talked about it on previous shows as far as the, you know, about systems and how a system works and the purpose of a system. So you can't take the system that Ford uses to build cars and run a McDonald's, right? You can't take the same system that Burlington uses to run a school, right? Each system is different. So when you're talking about systematic racism, the system that this whole operation is built upon is not built for people of color, right? Dr. Later Africa, and I think I may have heard it in the past. I can't sure if he said it, whether or not he said it or not. But when you look at when people go to gun ranges or they do target practice, what color is the shadow that they're shooting at?
Black. Yep.
Right. And that's a psychological, unconscious thing that's going on right there. So you're shooting at this black figure. Right? Even when it comes to some of the food products, when they call dark cake devil's food, they call white cake angel food.
That's right.
Right. Scared of the dark, and these are terms that are thrown out there every hundreds and thousands times per day, and it's being driven in because of the system.
That's right.
So when we talk about systematic racism, that's what that is. It's programming on one level people to be afraid of the dark, to fear black.
That's right.
So that's my, and then as far as racism is concerned, just that word alone. So I think I had a debate with my brother about this. I was getting into semantics more than anything else, but when you talk about or using the suffix ism, right, or ist, like a pianoist and abolitionist, right? So those are people who practice a particular thing or follow along a particular philosophy. Right. So if I'm pro-black, am I practicing racism just based off the term alone? Yeah, I'm pro-black. I study black people. I like studying about Egypt and Kemet and Africa. So yes, am I racist now? And I think and it's so tied in that whenever you hear the term racist, we immediately think of hatred, like, or you know, if you're a racist, you hate other people. And look, my philosophy could be totally wrong, but I'm just saying if somebody, I could be racist.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I could be racist, meaning I'm pro-black and not hate other people. So yes, I am racist. I am pro-black. I do study black. I like listening
to specialize in your race.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. But because the racist has been attached to the term hatred, whenever you call somebody racist, that immediately means that they're coming from a space of hatred. If that makes sense. I don't know if I.
No, I
understand what you're saying. You know, everybody's programmed to think a certain way. It's like a trigger word. Racist. Yeah. Oh no, I'm not a racist. Or you're a racist. It's a weapon word.
Yep.
Some people use.
Yep.
See?
Hey man, sometimes it's good to just sit back and listen, man. Everything pretty much been said. I mean, we live in a world where they made up a fucking race just to try to say that ours don't matter. Blue lives matter, people. Like we know what it is. I mean, yeah, pretty much everything that needs to be said.
Yeah. I'm petty. A little bit time to time.
We know this.
Huh?
So we know this.
Yeah.
And, I don't have time to play around with racist white people. Get over yourselves. Black people are we're better. We're your big brothers and sisters. God chose us first, and they're mad at that for some reason. You know, we're smarter because we got the knowledge first. We're faster because you know what I mean. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just going to add on, and that's something that, you know, if this thing will really actually get resolved, that white people will have to come to grips with why they're really angry at us, you know. You know, but we don't require them to come to grips with that before we do what we have to do for us. You know, I don't no longer get into trying to convince white people, you know, of the injustices and so forth. You know, and if I'm in a mood, I might entertain a little debate with some white person online, some white racist, just to, you know, have fun with the dude. But for the most part, I think we spend a lot of time trying to get them to understand, or to get them to feel some empathy, or to express some remorse about what they have done.
Yeah.
That's a waste of time in my eyes.
I agree.
It's a waste of fucking time. You're right. It's a waste of fucking time.
It's real.
Yeah,
I
man,
think
it's a waste of fucking time, man. Go ahead.
No, it's going in Dr. Amos Wilson's book, The Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. And even some of his lectures on YouTube, you know, he talks about the genetic superiority Black people have over white people, right? It doesn't make us necessarily in terms of how it's just stating facts that genetically a Black child will be walking before a white child, will be talking before a white child. They're showing better cognitive abilities before a white child. And this is all genetics. So this is not some type of value system that was created. So we're talking about straight facts of how just the melanin and its role in developing the Black child when they're in the womb.
Now, Chuck, can I ask this question just real quick? Can you teach what you're not?
Absolutely not. You can't. Like a monkey can't teach you. A monkey can't write a book on how to be a bear, or a cow can't. A cow cannot raise an ape. Or an ape. Yeah. Yeah, like it's only a rat can only raise a rat. A cow can raise a cow. A horse can that's nature. And Dr. Layla Africa talks about that a lot in some of his lectures. Like that's how nature is. But we've been programmed to believe that we can learn, or as a matter of fact, Brother Sam, we was talking about not the last episode, but episode before last, about mental health, and how a lot of Black people are afraid of getting mental health, or maybe not so afraid, but there's this stigma around getting mental health and being connected to crazy. But when you're sitting in that room with the therapist, is that therapist the same the same skin color as you? Like I won't send my young Black daughter to see a white therapist. because there's no way beyond the intellectual level to understand emotionally what that black child is going through. Even as a black man, like I said in the last episode, I'm actually going to be seeing a therapist this week coming up. And when I went for my screening the other day, I asked him, I said, do you have any black people? They didn't have any black males. They had one black female. I was like, I'll take it. Because even though our genders are different, she'll be able to relate on the base, just strictly off of color. She'll be able to relate to some of the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with her.
Right.
So just wanted to get that out there.
Sure.
That's all right, man. We need to teach our own, psychologize our own, and all those things, because we can only identify.
And that's natural.
Go ahead, brother.
I mean, and that's natural. Even in being raised in a public school system, I felt a lot better when I had black teachers. I didn't have any black teachers in high school except for no, I didn't have any. I might have had one in 9th grade, a science teacher. But I did the best when I had black teachers. It was a certain understanding and certain warmth, a certain emotional investment they had in you. And then, when it was a black woman, it was like, your mom up in there.
Right.
And it's cultural things and it's ancestral connection based on our color. We gotta, instead of historical background, we share our historical background. And a lot of the psychological things that we deal with come out of this collective history that we share. And then the psychiatric history of the psychiatry field is treacherous, from what I read a long time ago. And so we got to be careful who we talking to.
Yep.
And I'm not to say there aren't any good, white psychologists or psychiatrists out there. But yeah, I would definitely prefer going to a black one.
Yep.
Right. And that's something that
everybody prefers to be with their own. We allow ourselves, sometimes, our people allow ourselves to feel guilty about that. The system of integration got us thinking we got to share everything, but we don't.
And how are you sharing something when you have nothing?
Yeah, and you definitely ain't sharing nothing. It's not a sharing relationship that we have with white people when our money leaves our community. Our dollar leaves our community as soon as it's in our hands, practically.
Right.
But other nationalities, it circulates several times before it leaves.
Yeah.
Right.
Their community.
Right.
So it ain't even sharing. It's we allowing ourselves to be raped.
Sure.
Economically. But I said the key thing is I ain't say we victims. I say we allowing ourselves to be raped.
We dropping the soap on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta wake up, man. We got to drop the soap on purpose.
Right. But brothers, I'm gonna have to get ready to run. I definitely appreciate y'all having me on.
Man, we appreciate you being on the show, brother. You got a lot of knowledge, man.
You definitely.
It was my honor to meet you, brother.
Before you go, brother Senbi, what do you want to take? What do you want people to take from what you're going ahead and putting out there, though, and go ahead and close out?
I want us to resolve to take our power back, to heal ourselves, and to no longer give our power over to other people who have proven don't care about us, and to a society and a system that is proven to be against us. But to take our power back, recognize our power, what our true power is within ourselves, our creative abilities, to use them, and to not waste our talents, but to use it in the benefit of us gaining our true sovereignty again as a people. And that's what I want us to take from this, methods to heal your trauma, and build our relationships and understand how valuable and important our relationships are as tools for healing and building. And the course, we're pushing the course to start on July 30th. Actually, that's the last Thursday, the last Sunday in July. But I want people to go on the website and register. If I can leave the website address.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
jujumama.com/transcending racism. Now, the word transcending was misspelled in this, and I'm trying to get it changed. So it's transcending without the S.
Without the S, okay.
Yeah, jujumama.com/transcending without the S -racism. And you should be able to log on and sign up for the course, and you will get an email from me with further details.
And I'll have I'll have
Juju
links.
Mama, is it JUJU?
Yes, I'm sorry, JUJUMAMA, Juju Mama.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And I'm gonna include links in the show notes, so everybody listening in. If you didn't catch it, app on your phone and click on the link, and it'll take you right to the website to register for the course.
Okay, it is much appreciated, my brothers.
Thanks, Brother Senbi, for coming on.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you for always walking the walk, talking the talk, but walking the walk, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all brothers for doing the same. All right. Peace to you.
Peace.
Man, that was your brother Senbi right there, man. Go ahead, Pete.
Nah, I was just talking. It was dead air, man. I was making noise. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That was some real talk right there, though, man. And it was a powerful perspective. That's what I would call this show today, right here, man. We talked about the mandate versus the movement. We talked about being for our people, as far as though, going against, not going against, but being for ourselves and not feeling guilty as far as being for ourselves, though, man. And I appreciate that, though, man. Anything y'all want to add into it before we go ahead? Y'all want to get into the sports and the bars? Pete, you got some bars?
I maybe got some things, man. I don't know, man. It's been a long week, man.
Pete is so humbly conceited. Humbly conceited. All right. Y'all, Chuck, you want to say anything before we go ahead and get into the trail? Y'all got Trailblazers or?
Yeah, I probably said his name before, but I got one. Yeah, I got one. I said his name before, but I just need to reiterate how important listening to no, because Brother Senbi brought up the word culture, and this brother here, in a lot of his YouTube videos, he talks about culture. But what's interesting is he does it in so many different, during his speeches on economics, he talks about culture. During his speeches on relationships, he talks about culture. During his speeches on politics, he talks about culture. So all his shit, his mindset is wrapped around this idea of concept of culture, and I find that to be fucking fascinating. So the brother I'm talking about, I said his name before, Amos Wilson.
Okay.
You can go on YouTube, find a bunch of videos. He has a bunch of books, one of which is called The Blueprint to Black Power. Very, very powerful brother, man. And he explains things in such a way that you understand what he's saying. Like some people you listen to on YouTube, like after about 20, 30 minutes listening to like an hour joint, you start dozing off and falling asleep. Like, not because his shit is so thought provoking, but yet so simple, and it makes a lot of fucking sense everything he talks about. So I'm bigging up again my brother Amos Wilson. Rest in peace.
Okay, all right, Pete.
Hey, man, I know this name probably been said, but fuck it, he don't get enough props. And damn it, they killed him, man. Dr. Sebi, I started following the dude a couple years back. This dude really won a case in New York City, the federal case. They try to say he ain't cure AIDS and shit. And he actually won a case proving the motherfuckers wrong that he did. So, yeah, I know they murdered the man. He was a holistic healer, dude, like all the nature and shit. And you don't need this man-made medical shit to stay healthy and to do that. And
who's that pig you said?
Dr. Sebi.
Oh yeah, oh man.
Yeah, man. So, shout out to him, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what it is. That's what we all follow. That we be good money. We be on our Wakanda shit.
Yeah.
Like it's true. That's the thing. Like he beat the fucking federal case in New York City on the fact that they try to say he didn't cure an AIDS situation and he did. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. He even breaks it down to saying there's only one disease, and he says it's mucus. So if there's mucus like in your joints, it's inflammation, right? You got mucus on your lungs, there's pneumonia, right? So he breaks that shit down. And what's funny, Pete, bro, I don't know if you heard this, but scientists have quote unquote discovered a new organ, and they're saying that the organ is like a liquid. Like a liquid thing that covers every cell, every organ of the body. And that's the same shit that Dr. Sebi said without having to do x-rays. Like, cause it's like, he's going from an African perspective, man. So that shit is, bro. That shit is powerful, man.
Yeah, man. Dr. Sebi, obviously, Amos Wilson, are two people that we need to actually talk about more within the Black community. Instead of just Martin Luther King and Malcolm, we talk about Malcolm X though, but obviously Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks get mentioned more. But I'm actually gonna talk about this young brother named Chad Thomas with the Cleveland Browns, drafted out of Miami, a defensive end. This brother is actually not just a defensive end for the Cleveland Browns and an amazing athlete. He's actually a producer as well. Just got drafted this year. He goes by the name of Major 9. And he's a musical prodigy. He can play 9 different instruments.
What's up?
And so, he's produced for Rick Ross, he's produced for Drake, Khaled, and those people. So, you know what I'm saying? He's wrote produced songs like Hurt Nobody, with Little Dread and all these people though, and they're saying that one day he's actually gonna he's probably gonna win a Grammy. I know how you feel about Grammys, Chuck, but
fucking Grammys, nigga. And everyone who got one, nigga.
Yes. But yeah, this brother, he's got his head on straight though, man. He knows what he wants to do, and I like to see that within young brothers though, because we don't celebrate that enough. We celebrate the foolishness, we publicize the foolishness, and we don't really celebrate those who are actually doing something, especially for our athletes. So look at them as just dumb jocks or whatever though. So people out here who are actually doing the right thing. And so fortunately, he got drafted to the Cleveland Browns. Though, wasn't here nor there.
Hey, he's getting a check, goddammit.
Right. He's getting that money, though, man, to go ahead and make those hits, though, and obviously go ahead and make those hits on the field. So, respect to that brother, and, yeah, man, keep doing your thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, as far as sports, what do y'all feel about the NBA draft, Pete?
I don't give a fuck. Miami ain't have a pick, nigga. I don't care.
Oh, yeah. Miami didn't have a pick at all?
Nah, bro.
I absolutely did not know that.
Amir's being asked. Amir's being asked right now. Nah.
I'm dead serious. I didn't know he didn't have a pick.
It's a couple, but
wait. Y'all lost the pick to get who?
What the fuck? I don't know, man. I don't know.
You sound distraught, man. You sound distraught, brother. You sound distraught right now.
Let's move on.
You sound real distraught. I really didn't have a pick. The fuck?
Yeah. I was kind of. We try to make a few trades to get one, but I knew I had to do something with some type of deal we had to do a few years back. But regardless, we're gonna have some bread this year to make moves, so I ain't too worried. But Trae Young, he overrated. I don't know about him. Bailey gonna be alright.
We put about to do Aiden.
He gonna be all right. The dude Cleveland got the nigga from Alabama. He gonna be all right too.
Everybody's saying he's nice.
Yeah, he's nice. He balled for your boy. What's your boy? He talking about basketball, coach. Your coach. What's your boy's name?
Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson. Yeah. The game of basketball. You gotta play defense. You gotta play defense. That's what's most important about the game of basketball. But now, that boy was balling. That boy was balling for Alabama. He did his thing in the tournament. So we gonna see.
You know what? I'm gonna wait till next. Show to talk about, because it'll be closer to talk about. Because I don't feel like talking about trades, man.
Nah, ain't nothing to talk about. Yeah.
And you're right. I mean,
it's quiet right now. Sports is quiet right now. We got shout out to the brother who's gonna be on the hockey video game and shit. Shout out to him. He played for the Panthers.
PK Subban.
Yeah. Shout out to him. And that's what's up. So. Yeah, that's
is he the first black person to be on the cover?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You don't need Google for that one. You don't need Google for that one, folks. Yeah. That's definitely the very first guy, African on American on the hockey game. So that's dope.
That is dope, man. That's a good look though for the kids to go ahead and see, though, and even for the grown folks to go ahead and see, man. That's a good look right there, though, man. Yeah. See, man, you ready to get into these bars, man?
Hey, man, I say peace at the end of convos, but still searching for it. Money on my mind, but wonder, is it really worth it? I mean, we need it, and that's worth these damn bills. Being broke at 30 will give you the damn chills. And I'm cold as fuck. I'm running out of luck. But did I have it in the first place, or was I a runner up? Questions I need to know. I need the answer, Sway. Wondering if being the father hurts them in any way. I couldn't silver spoon them. My sons deserve the world, but a world not mixed up with the bad doing good. Asking God for forgiveness just so that my sons can shine. Break the cycle of the sin so they won't be repeating mine. Prop.
Okay. I like that right there, though, man, Pete. I know you're going to have some more after this, though, because I purposely made sure I went ahead and saved this line so you can go ahead and say some more, though. All this destruction is malfunction, malcontent, government feeding off black consumption of a promise of nothing. Melanated suffering, gotta figure something. The attitude disgusting. What the fuck are we trusting? It's a mirage that we're lusting. B-Lo by way of flushing. Beaufort to Guyana, product of the slave that saw the water and didn't jump in. A rebel without a pause. Saying fuck all corruption. Now, Pete, say something. I spit it real. Let's go.
Flow policies, I spread knowledge. Keep learning as I grow. That's your true power. The flower that grew from concrete, see, that's me. A few pricks on the stems protect the rose, B. Listen clear. Fuck fear and his cousin, too. Insecurities don't exist unless you want them to. I'm Jada Kiss with these lines, now fireproof, which means the keys to the locks are attainable. This starts from the mind of a troubled soul, battling the demons since a youngin' though. Cry tears all alone so they won't see me weak, while my son tell his friends, Dad, Superman to me. I gotta live up to the height, although depression runs deep. Angel on the left side, but the devil never sleeps. Prop.
Let's get it.
Yeah, man.
I knew you had something else as soon as I was like, yo, Pete, all right. Yes. Chuck, man. Chuck, what you got, man? Set them bars, man. One day Chuck don't start spitting.
No bullshit, man. But y'all boys be inspiring me, man. I'm like, shit. At least do some type of poetry or some shit. I don't know, man. But damn, like, y'all boys be going there, man.
You know you got it right there, Chuck, man. If you can write, you can write.
Yeah.
Just about just all it is with you, Chuck, is the concentration of mind. We know how you go, man. Once Chuck is focused on something, this nigga does not go for second best.
Yeah.
Yo, you see how he said that, Pete?
I said, yeah.
No, nigga, that wasn't. Yeah. That's what I do. Yeah. You right. You got it, Chief. My man. And we gonna hit you with my man. Oh no, God, are we trading day now?
My man.
So.
Denzel Lamb. My man.
I know you like to get wet.
My man. I know you like to get wet. Yo,
what's good?
I started watching this joint on Netflix called Liquid Science by Jizza from Wu-Tang. Like he's the one he's the host of the whole documentary shit. Yo, that shit. Yo, it talks about. Before the social, I was watching. I think the first 3 episodes.
He's a professor, I think.
Who, Jizza?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. But yeah,
it talked about a degree in some type of science. Go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, well, not because it talked about his first episode was talking about global warming. Second one was talking about consciousness, bro. That shit was talking about how they're trying to create programs now to where they can take somebody's consciousness from their mind, put it into like a digital format, and uploaded it into like another, either like a robot or some other shit. That shit was great. And then the third episode was talking about like virtual reality and that shit is once we finish.
So basically, it breaks down how white people take what black people have, right?
Yeah, yeah, but but that show on the other show on Netflix, bro. It kind of like all this shit, man, just lines up so perfectly, man. The Ultra Carbon joint on Netflix, where that's like a more like a sci-fi type show, but that's going through the process of taking somebody's consciousness from their body and uploading it into a different shit. And sure enough, only the rich white people can afford to do that. So,
absolutely,
yeah, this shit is shit is real out here, bro.
Absolutely. We know what time it is, man.
Yeah, shit is real.
We know what time it is. We are the original people that think.
But people will call us conspiracy theorists. But then when we see this shit playing right out in front of us, because I mean, this shit it's right there, like in front of us, man. But I don't know. People, I don't know.
You know what they call white conspiracy theorists? Nobel Peace Prize winners.
Yeah.
Sir Ivan Sosavok from some white country that nobody ever heard of.
Yeah.
Near Slovenia. Yeah, man, fuck that shit. Get the fuck out of here, man. I'm trying to hear that shit. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Fuck that. I ain't got time to apologize to nonsense.
It's crazy, man.
It's tomfoolery. They talk about all these other people though, but they don't talk about Imhotep, and they still can't figure out how the pyramids got built. No, there though, man. I'm just gonna go ahead and say God loves y'all. Ability to tolerate y'all. Black Podcasters Network Common Sense Experience though, man. We got big things coming though, man, and I appreciate the brother Senbi being on the show today, though, man. Thank you.
You know what's fucking crazy? I'm like, no bullshit. Like, and that's how we know like the chemistry is there and shit. I forgot we were still recording. I ain't bullshit. I thought we was done with like.
Yo, for a minute, I did. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I thought the same thing. For a minute though. For a minute, yeah, you're right. Shit, sometimes it's just how we roll, man. That's how it is, man.
Yeah. Black Podcasters Network. Check us out on Facebook. Leave a review. iTunes. I always ask every episode, make sure to leave us a review on iTunes. It helps the show move up in the rankings. We can start getting this word out some more. Again, this is Unfiltered and Unapologetic each and every episode. So until next time, I'll let y'all later.
Yo, man, good shit today, fellas. 2 fingers means peace. We see y'all next week. We out.